Richmond Natural Medicine. I am Dr. Leah Hollon, and this is Dr. Duffy. We are coming to you today because we want to talk about hormones. I know you've been seeing a lot out there on social media, and just because you see it doesn't mean it is for you. So we are the doctors that get to the root issues and also making it more personalized for you as an individual versus, again, everybody else. So we're going to take a moment. Dr. Duffy works with a lot of individuals, especially men, related to hormones, and so I'm going to kick it over to her, and she's going to talk a little bit about some men's health that she's seen.
Yeah, so when it comes to men's health and especially how it impacts their hormones, there's a lot of things that can influence that. So things like GI conditions, metabolic health, cardiovascular health, and prostate health as well. Those are things we're kind of looking at, and again, influences the overall health of men and especially their hormones too.
Yeah, it makes such a difference. I think a lot of people don't realize how connected they are, but it's so important.
Mm-hmm.
So just like that, similarly, our females, right? So a lot of our women are dealing with perimenopause and menopause, and we just wanted to take a moment to also talk about that. What we find in the way in which we're seeing folks is that some people are just flying through perimenopause and menopause pretty well, and others are really struggling and feeling like they're on the struggle bus. And unfortunately, some of the stuff out there on social media makes it a little bit more dramatic, and it's like, oh, this and that, and the next thing you're like looking for another squirrel out there. So it's squirrel, 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 and next thing you know, you're like, I must be feeling bad because it's this, and it might not be perimenopause, it could be some other things. But the way in which I find that people are doing, how they do during perimenopause or menopause really has a lot to do with how they've been living their life, not just over the last 18 months, but over the last 15, 20 years. So let's talk a little bit about that. Stress level makes a big difference, including even adverse childhood experiences or trauma. So a lot of times that can influence the hormones. We also find that just stress, even 3 to 5 days of stress in a row, actually changes our hormones. And it's not just for women, but also for men as well. And so Dr. Duffy sees that quite a bit for her men that she's working with. One of the other things is that it also has to do with how the woman had, or the female had, her period. Like, what were the periods like? Was it really challenging? And that makes a big difference. And of course, we look at that family history too, but how's sleep, right? And what's going on with the microbiome? And that's also something that we do for a lot of men's health. So we just wanted to come to you today to be like, hey, listen, if you're struggling around hormones, or you're feeling like you're losing some muscle mass or those kinds of things, there's so much that can be done, and it's not fatalistic. Like, we've been doing this on the planet for who knows how long. We've had lots of people before us doing this, but it just seems so intense because our lives are a little bit fuller than they should be, and that affects our hormones. So we wanted to let you know that we are having some hormone packages that we're putting together because some people want even more specific support than what we typically do. And so that's going to include like a new patient appointment, a return appointment, and then also what we call a Dutch assessment, which looks at not just your hormones like cortisol and those kinds of things, but it also looks at other things like how you're breaking things down and what your DNA damage might be. So it's really helpful when we're thinking about things like the cardiovascular health or the GI health. So it was great being with you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and we'll see you soon.